Hi there, my name's Nikolas Badminton. I'm a futurist. I help my clients look out 5, 10, 20 plus years into the future so they can imagine bolder visions of what the world could be. And I'm incredibly delighted to be here with you this evening, speaking virtually and engaging with you and sharing my thoughts about what the future could be for Pictou County. Now, this presentation is called Pictou Renaissance. I think we found the last year very tough. I think the next year is going to be particularly tough as well for many people. Now, in Nova Scotia and in Pictou County, we've seen the ability to close borders and still maintain a sense of normality, which is absolutely amazing, and hats off to everyone that's made that happen. And there's been many people that have worked hard on that. But now we've got an opportunity to step up and create something as we step out the back of this pandemic. Now, I'm a futurist, so I help my clients create bold visions about what the future could be. And I think that we're all futurists. I think that we think about what's happening this evening, next week, next year, what our children's futures will be like. And my story began at the age of 8 years old. My father bought me this book. This is the Usborne Book of the Future. And this book imagined a world in the year 2000 and beyond, illustrations and stories, undersea harvesting of crops, people living on the moon, and going beyond into interstellar travel. We're not quite there in many of these aspects, but we've certainly started our journey. But this inspired me to really get into computing at the age of 8, to go to university to study artificial intelligence, to focus on data and data infrastructure. And I've been consulting for over 25 years. I've worked with over 300 of the world's most dynamic and impactful companies. I'm very thankful for those experiences. I'm incredibly thankful to be here talking to you as well. And I have a mantra, and this is a mantra that I pass along to everyone that I work with. I like you to suspend disbelief and really think about what's happening in the future by asking, what if? What if the world could be different? What if we make better decisions today that create a foundation to take us forward? That's an idea that where we can invite people in to be creative, to be collaborative, and to think about a world that sort of pushes against what we've created today, which isn't necessarily that resilient at all. In every talk, I lay a foundation for what I'm going to talk about and talk about industrial revolutions. This is what's been happening for over 270 years, and we've certainly seen a lot of developments happen across transportation, energy, and communications. Many of these were the bedrock of the creation of Pictou County, especially with coal and paper mills and a lot of other industries that really embraced that in the early days of Canada and Nova Scotia. And now we're stepping out into a new world. And this new world is what people call the fourth industrial revolution. Now, this is the same 3 dimensions of transportation, energy, and communications, but everything's connected. Everything's exponential, and everything builds on the experiences and innovations that came before them. And now the world is moving faster than we've ever seen before. And we've seen that there's been incredible developments in everything from mobile phone technology, computing, through to artificial intelligence, transportation, and beyond. But right now, we've stopped and taken a long, hard look at what I think is ultimately a failed industrial complex. It's taken a pandemic for us to see weaknesses. These weaknesses have been seen across many different parts of the community. Energy, transportation, food supply, democracy and communications have been shaking. Schooling has been a huge challenge for many people, and globalization is being shook as well. We've got leaders in Davos this week saying, let's get together, let's come together. Xi Jinping, the premier of and president of China, is really asking us to lower the barriers of the old world, cold world thinking. And it's great. And I think that all of these are positive steps in the right direction. But these are sort of a little bit empty in terms of promise unless there's action that we can take. But we can take action in Pictou County and create something really quite incredible. And now, I think what we've seen in the past year is something quite incredible indeed. We've seen leadership step up, we've seen policy being put in place, and we've seen civic duty step up. The people in communities have really held everything together. And I think that's one of the most important things about contemplating the future, is that humanity is the thing that's going to be here for thousands of years, regardless of whatever innovations and advancements come. And these are the three dimensions that really make our response to the pandemic really resilient. And I think that these are the three dimensions that we're going to have to lean into for the next generations that come before us. Okay, let's get into what I call the signals of change. Now, signals are things that futurists see out in the world. These might be advancements in academia and research and development. They might be new, exciting startups. You know, remember when you first saw Uber or DoorDash or any of these companies. Remember when you first started to think about the possibilities of electric vehicles and that kind of infrastructure. These are all signals that I've been tracking for the last couple of decades. And I try and take all of these data points and bring them together in a way that joins the dots and helps you see what future we can create together. The first thing that I always speak about is climate and energy. This is the thing that makes the world run, and we're seeing ourselves move from fossil fuels into a new world. Now, people imagine that 86% of all energy needs in the world can be provided by renewable energy. The technology is here, and we've got an opportunity to really step up and provide energy in many different renewable forms as we look forward. Now, there's an unfortunate certainty right now is that the world is going to get warmer. It's going to continue to warm to 1.5 degrees and even beyond that as well. There's a lot of people out in the world, Greta Thunberg and activists and lots of innovators and world leaders that are saying that we have to change. We have to start seeing a better future. And unfortunately, CO2 has been slowing down, but it's not been stopping. So we're still pumping out lots of CO2 into the world. If you drive internal combustion engine vehicle, if you work in industrial complex, if you see all of these systems acting together, we're just not slowing down fast enough. And I think that it's really important that we step up and start to think about how the world can be different. One of the researchers that looked at this is a guy called Carl Burkhardt. Now, he's looking out aspirationally to 2050, and he imagines if 139 of the world's most powerful countries can get together, they can end the use of fossil fuels in their power demands by looking at everything from wave and tidal energy, offshore wind, onshore wind, utility scale solar, rooftop photovoltaics, that solar on your households, hydro, and even geothermal. And these are all energies that we've got in abundance here in Canada, and especially in places like Nova Scotia. We can start to tap into this. I think we contribute to Canada's place in the world on provision of renewable energy, and I think that actually Canada becomes a real tour de force on the geopolitical landscape. And that, mixed with the fact that we've got a huge amount of the world's freshwater supply, means that we've got a really abundant and powerful future ahead of us. But I like to look out even further than 20 plus years. I like to look out to the possibilities of global energy supply being renewable. I like to think about how we can do cross-border energy provision and trading, and that energy can be incredibly cheap and power the innovations in a new world. Here's a picture of global energy interconnection using something called a supergrid. Now, these supergrids connect countries and renewable energy generation sources across the world, and that real-time generation and trading is going to change absolutely everything. And we've started to see these being trialed out in Asia, in the North Sea, over in Europe and the UK as well, and it's an incredibly exciting time. The next thing I like to look at is technology and humanity, and these two things can't live independently from each other. But what if we balance the implementation of new technologies with the needs that we have as humans in our families and in our communities? Now, I actually think that we've stepped up in the past year or so and embraced technologies in new ways that do ensure a very human response to the pandemic. And in Nova Scotia, we've seen over 1.2 million healthcare services provided virtually, and much of that's happened in Pictou County. So bravo to everyone that's been a part of that in an industry that's not known for moving quickly and changing in a way that can be really progressive. So I think that the pandemic has really shaken us up and really given us inspiration that we can make anything happen, and we can make it happen quickly without worrying about committee and deep policy changes and a number of different items. When you have to make a change and you have to create that resiliency, and you can make that change quickly, that creates an exponential place to live. And now I think that we're living in somewhere that I call the brave new world. This is a place of wonderment and excitement with technology, but actually working towards meeting human needs in a way that's incredible. And this brave new world is bringing on technologies, everything from genetic engineering, renewable energy, the enhancements around artificial intelligence, and of course, being able to capture and use data. And I think that data is a foundation for absolutely everything we do, from government, small business, all the way through to running your own family. We may not understand that we're capturing data and applying it in all occasions, but we definitely are. So that relationship of data to information to knowledge and then into wisdom, and what I call the wisdom economy, means that we've got strategic planning at our heart, and that we can collaborate and come up with great new futures together. And real world decision making comes from that. And in addition, we can then apply evaluation and research and observation and feedback that can really make our world move more quickly, move more streamlined, and actually start to deliver huge benefits to everyone in the community, Canada and beyond. But we've also got a flip side to this. Human behavior loves new technology, and we're kind of getting addicted to it as well. Some researchers say that every 18 seconds or 4,900 different digital engagements every day are going to be part of our normal lives. We need to be careful about how this operates as well. But our inevitable future is to be immersed in data and immersed in a new reality. And I'm not so scared about that. I do think that we can maintain an element of humanity within that. And I think that people in Pictou County have got that into a really great perspective. For each of my keynotes, I try and include at least one mini documentary, very, very short snippets of what the future could be like. So what does that future look like with data, with engagement, in a way that's equitable and useful for humanity and people in Pictou County? Let's take a look. That video is pretty incredible when I was researching all the different technologies, everything from vertical farms that use robotics to drones, all the way through to the idea of Amazon blimps. That's not real, but it's going to become real. They've got patents in place for that. All the way through to what I ended with nanotechnology to help with medicine, and also quantum computing to completely blow our minds as to what computing power could do. And when we start to think about this future, there's something we need to bear in mind, is that artificial intelligence that taps into the subconscious levels of data that we collect is going to be at the heart of that. And this is something that is going to advance, and it's going to transform every industry around us. But, and this is really important to understand, our most important and most valuable intelligence is not artificial. It's actually human intelligence. It's very difficult to codify empathy and connection and that deep level of understanding. However, when we work together as humanity and technology, or human and the machine, as I like to say, then we can really liberate ourselves into a new world where anything can be possible. Now, I call this world a world of infinite humanity, and this is an evolution of what I was talking about with the industrial revolutions. The dimensions of transportation, energy, and communications are joined by ecology and biology, and all of these parts are interconnected not only by the internet, but by the activities and the people that work within them. Now, this is where true acceleration is going to push forward. This is where we're going to be able to master new vaccines against the coming pandemics that may come in the next 10, 20, 50 years ahead of us. Let's hope it doesn't come too soon. This is where we can create equitable places to live, like Pictou County. And this is where I just need to come back to what's the most important thing. Over and above technology and everything that's coming, that will reshape the world, is the need for community resiliency. What if we accelerate engagement within our communities and bring people closer together? Now, we spoke about leadership, policy, civic duty. Now, that's been joined by our willingness to disrupt, the willingness to become hyper-local, focus on our communities, support each other, and create the partnerships that really create a buoyant society and an economy as we look forward. And part of that as well is around the circular economy. I've seen many examples of this in Pictou County. It's the ability to reuse, recycle, and reduce our use of materials in the world, a completely new mindset. And this is a foundation of a future that I think that we need to pay close attention to. I've done a number of talks for the Ellen MacArthur Foundation in the UK around this, and all of my keynotes include this, as well as energy, as well as data, and those technological enhancements that are coming in our world. And I think that it's also really important to look at the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. I work with the United Nations on a project called Resilience Frontiers that helps imagine pathways forward to a resilient future with climate change facing us and changing how the world operates. So do go and look at those SDGs. And as we end this talk, I like to think about this amazing quote from Wendell Berry, who's a farmer, an author, an inspirational poet as well. Invest in the millennium, plant sequoias. Say that your main crop is the forest you did not plant, that you will not live to harvest. Look ahead to the generations that are coming, and then imagine, what if we put new ideas into the mix today, and community comes together and we look at technologies, but we really create a foundation of humanity and a long-term planning perspective that really creates a future where we can ask, what if our world is great for our children, their children, and their children's children as well? And that's it. This is the Renaissance for Pictou County, for Nova Scotia, for Canada, and the world. I do think that Pictou County is an incredible place. I've managed to visit a number of times, and also other places in Nova Scotia as well, like Halifax. And I hope to be back there again this summer, and maybe we can meet each other there. And do come and see me. And I'd love to speak to anyone. Reach out to me online. I'm on LinkedIn. You can find me at my website, nikolasbadminton.com, and enjoy the rest of your evening.